So the last time I was covering this game, it was because they had just added it to the Xbox Game Pass, which means you had your chance to get out there and try it if you were a member, and they also added crossplay, which is pretty freaking amazing. Solasta, Crown of the Magister. I think this is one of the best games to have come out over the last. I don't know. I could give you a number, but it's arbitrary depending on the individual. But this is a great CRPG if you like turn-based gameplay and the 5th edition rule set. It has a unique original world that they've established. There were some things. It's an indie title, so obviously it's got some quirks. It's got some things that are a little bit. I don't want to say janky, but it's not say Baldur's Gate 3. It doesn't have that level of budget or polish, but it is still an exceptional game that I highly recommend you go out and play, especially if you've got Games Pass because you can just get it as part of your subscription and go out and explore. But they've got a new DLC out called Inner Strength, and more importantly, not just the fact that it's a new storyline and everything else, is the fact that we now have 3 new classes. You've got the Bard, the Monk, and the Warlock. There is a ton of information here on their website. We're going to be diving into these patch notes and the update information today. So if you haven't already done so and you're new here and you like what you see, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get more like this as we continue to do posts around this game and other RPGs because I love RPGs. It's a big part of the channel. I stream a lot of RPGs and MMORPGs, so make sure you stick around and hang out on the live streams and check all this other stuff out that we do. We did an entire playthrough of Solasta Crown of the Magister when the game first came out. That's on a playlist here on the channel, and I'm probably going to be diving back in for another playthrough in the new year now that all the DLCs and everything else are out. So there's also Dragonborn in the game now. I'm watching this right now. It's just there's all sorts of new cool fun stuff. So let's just get going here. Let's dive into the actual features in here. We've got 17 new feats which are interesting. But to me, feats are not the main thing. Backgrounds, these are fun. We have the aesthetic. You get a new language and proficiency with survival, insight, and herbalism. The artist, getting persuasion, deception, and performance. And the occultist, get a language proficiency with arcana, deception, scroll. It says, unlike previous backgrounds, these 3 new do not have a special quest to the Crown of the Magister campaign. That's because they're just added. So that's worth mentioning. So cool. Oh, hello. Didn't see that in the patch notes until just now. You can now play with controllers on the PC. Oh my god. So, Tactical Adventures, this is a company that is doing things right. Not only did they run a successful Kickstarter campaign to get this game off the ground, every single patch they have done has made the game better, more accessible. They've added crossplay, they've added console support, they've added controller support now. They're doing more classes and more everything they're doing just continues to make this game bigger and better. And I think this is one of those indie teams that everyone should be looking at and saying, this is a shining beacon of an example of companies that are doing it right as opposed to all these companies who are doing it wrong with failed Kickstarters and scams and the scam starters and misusing funds and misappropriating funds and mismanagement. These guys did it right. Anyway, I didn't even see the controller support in there until I'm just reading through now. So that's another huge thing. Um, I've never really used the Dungeon Maker, so they've got some new improvements to the Dungeon Maker tool here. But you can go in and you can make your own dungeons for your friends to play through. So if you're a dungeon master, like I am a game master, you can go in and use their Dungeon Maker to create your own for your friends to play through, which I think is really cool. It's hugely time consuming. I've dabbled with it, but I don't know enough about it to really be able to speak to it with that much expertise, but I do know it's a really cool feature for those people who enjoy that type of stuff. The big thing, though, is the new classes. For me, this is what it's going to be all about. We've got bards, monks, and warlocks. And there's more information about each one of these classes in these following threads. So if you want to know more about them, I would highly recommend diving in because let's just look at one of these as an example to give you a little bit of sort of a breakdown. So the bard update says bards are singing, flowers are blooming, and there's a whole bunch of information here. Plus, Monsieur Labard, draw me like one of your French casts, Ouiste. I don't know how you pronounce him. But they got a whole bunch of information here on the bard, how the bard works, bardic inspiration, jack of all trades. There's also being able to choose your college, which is level 3. And if you remember correctly, Baldur's Gate 3 just added bards to the rotation Oh man, I want to say 3, 4 months back. Bards are getting added to this game as well, so it's really cool to see some of the similarities, but also some of the ways that they've sort of branched off and gone differently. Because um, even though they are being inspired by and they're using the fifth edition rule set, um, Solasta is its own world, and so it's not set in Forgotten Realms like Baldur's Gate 3 is. So it's a slightly different take on things, and they do their own little stuff here and there. Level 5, they get a font of inspiration. So it's just a really, these breakdowns give you a lot of really good information on what's going on, a little bit of graphics, some art, some visuals, and then they get into the SRD stuff. So this is really cool because they're mentioning here, this is what I was talking about, the difference between Baldur's Gate 3 and Solasta is because Baldur's Gate 3 is firmly set in Forgotten Realms. And here we have things like the College of Lore, which is from the rule set that 5th edition is based off of. But College of Hope is homebrew. So the College of Hope is specific to the Solasta game. It says it's a full-on healer archetype, and it says here that the College of Heroism is based on someone who won the Wishing Well, which was a community event, as I recall. And then they have a Lost Valley one. So they've got these different ones, but the main thing is that not only do they have stuff from the SRD, they're also doing their own stuff with homebrew and community things. And that's one of the differences that kind of separates what they're doing with Baldur's Gate 3 with what they're doing with what they're doing with Solasta. I would also say that this is a good example, and I'm totally going to plug my own stuff here. So my wife and my brother and I have our homebrew World of the Weave and the Void, which we've been working on for, it'll be 2 years in March, and we launched our 5th edition rule set in May of this year, May of 2022, along with the prequel module, which is levels 1 to 4, which tells the story in the Escape from Parthana. And we've also been live streaming that campaign on Sunday nights using the 5th edition rule set. It is a 5th edition rule set campaign. However, if you get into our source book, we do have stuff that's from the SRD, but we also do a lot of stuff that's based on our homebrew campaign and is unique to our world with the classes, especially with the classes, because, for example, we have quantum mechanics at play with the Church of the Elder Ways. So paladins, clerics, Templars, they all cast magic in a different way because they're doing it based on quantum energy as opposed to actual deity magic. So it's slightly different. So much like what Solasta is doing, we are also doing the same thing. And our point and click game is just a point and click game that's based on story. So we aren't even using a rule set with that. But if we ever do get around to developing an RPG or a CRPG like this, we would be doing the same thing here, where we would be using the fifth edition or now it's D&D one. But I love Solasta not only because it's a great game, but also because for me as a game dev, it's given me sort of a footprint of saying, oh, this is how they did it. So that's kind of, I could look at doing it that way if we decided to pursue that at some point down the road. It's really cool. There's also some general improvements across the board, which are always good, along with some bug fixes. And this is a pretty long list. So you can see that not only have they been busy actually bringing new races and new classes to the game and adding controller support and crossplay and all these other things, but they've actually been in here just fixing tons and tons and tons and tons. I mean, look, there's a huge list of bugs there. There's also a bunch of multiplayer fixes and improvements, which is great considering that multiplayer and co-op was what they added a few months back. They've added some more bug fixes, improvements to the Dungeon Maker, and there's still a handful of known issues. But overall, this is a massive, massive DLC. I can't speak to how much content is here from an hourly standpoint, but you do get also the new race of the Dragonborn, which are +2 strength, +1 charisma, damage resistance, and a breath weapon linked to their draconic ancestry. Black Dragon grants resistance to acid and an acid breath, while Gold Dragon grants resistance to fire and a fire breath, which is really, really cool. But again, I don't know what the story of this DLC is yet because I haven't played it. But I wanted to talk about the announcement and share with everybody the trailer and everything else because it's a great game. I think you should get out there and play it if you haven't already. Everyone who hasn't played Solasta, Crown of the Magister, I think you are missing out on one of the best games of 2022. So get out there, buy it, or if you have Game Pass, you can get it on Game Pass. There's a lot of ways to get a hold of it. Let me know in the comments below. Have you played this game? Do you like this game? Are you looking forward to playing this game? I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, questions, etc. down below. As always, if you got to the end and you liked what you saw here today, hopefully I've earned your subscription and also hopefully I've earned your support. You can do so in a variety of ways. It's really simple on uploads like these. Just do a super thanks down below. You can do a one-off, $2, $5, whatever you want, $50 a Ferrari. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Do what you want. But you can also do memberships. There's 3 different tiers down at the Adventurers Guild down there. We do private videos. We're doing a Battlestar Galactica rewatch for our members. We do read-throughs of some of my publications, um, private read-throughs of those. We do also the Lord of the Rings Online chicken coop build because I'm building a chicken coop in the backyard. Lots of fun stuff for our members. And if you're on a live stream, you can do super chats and stickers. You can also hit up the Patreon page if you want to find more information about that stuff. Follow along, get a copy of our source book, play our game, get the demo for the point-and-click game, and read the book series, which is unfolding over on the Patreon page, one chapter at a time. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, happy gaming. Hopefully, we'll see you in Solasta at some point in the near future.